local time, so no 12:15. It's
Well,
but
good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the next round of the Blondie's MX5 World Tour here from Summit Point Raceway. You see the cars are already on the grid, and we're going to run through your top 10 in qualifying. Thomas Halunen setting the point with a time of 1 minute 23.099. Adriskis Turskis in second, Nico Brandt in third, Douglas Beard. In fact, I've got that all completely wrong. Sorry, Helmi Ratter in first, and Koeman second. Lunan in third, Adriskis Turskis in fourth, Nico Brandt in fifth, Douglas Beard in sixth, Michael Gustafsson in seventh, Giuseppe Aero in eighth, Benjamin Ladute in ninth, and Chuck Johnson rounding out your top 10. The light's going to go green in just a couple of moments' time. We'll be racing here for 29 laps around this. The lights are out, and now we're going green racing here at Summit Point. We're racing for 29 laps here today. These guys have all got a good start. It's a very narrow run down into turn number one. The cars are 2 and some points 3 wide as they're coming down this long front straightaway where they're going to switch it now. It's going to be a tight braking zone. Will everyone make it through okay? It looks like for the most part out front they have. A little bit further back through the field, it looks like everyone is filed through okay. Some 2 wides are coming through this turn number 1 for the first time, and they're going to flick it left into turn number 2. This is where you get into the more technical portion of the racetrack, and it looks like out front it is Helmi Ratter, who's got himself a good first run here as he's trying to pick up a nice gap over Jan Koeman in the 55 machine as they're working it through this middle section of the race now. This is where the track gets very slow. They slow it down to about 50 miles an hour left and then right, that long 180-degree keyhole right hander before they'll just do another flick again. Now they'll start building up the speed, so they flick it right and then left for the first time, and then this fast sweeping right-hander will complete lap number 1. It is going to be Helmi Ratter leading the way. Jan Koeman's in second, Thomas Halunen in third. Adriskis Turskis is in the 4th position. All these guys in the top 5 positions are where they started coming out the final corner to complete lap number 1. And you see most of these cars are single file now. There's a little bit of action a little bit further back through the field. As you see 2 wide, this is, I believe, Benjamin Lananute making a pass on, I take that back, Jonathan Keir, and this is a battle for the 9th position. Beniti got him at the line to move him up into the 9th position. Giuseppe Aero getting a black flag at the start of this race. So he's going to be right down the field as we completed the first lap. Jan Koeman still leading. He's picked himself out a 1-second gap over Helmi Ratter in this, the first of 29 laps of this race. Apologies from getting a little bit late today. Unfortunately, technical difficulties got in our way. Helmi Ratter in the 2nd position, trying to get a bit of headrows in now. He closed the gap a little bit there at the start of lap number 2. And we've seen this quite often in this series. Right, Jan Koeman's been able to get a good start, but then Ratter coming right back into play on about lap number 2 and 3. Ratter, though, under intensive pressure from Thomas Halunen in the 23 machine of Adriskis Turskis in the 08 car, running out 4th position. Nico Brandt currently having a good day, but he's been pushed hard by Douglas Beard as Koeman is now approaching the final corner to put lap number 2 in the books. Lap times here at about 1 minute 28, 1 minute 29. So expect these guys to have some fast pace here. And they've got some very long straightaways. You see there that Koeman is actually doing about 115 miles an hour as he'll break down into turn number 1. In fact, he's building it up now, just about 118, 119 miles an hour. Just hits 120, then stamps on the brakes at the 200-meter cone. It's a tight turn number 1 there. They have to negotiate it. It kind of opens out a little bit at corner exit because this track is so narrow. They really can't get on the power too early and drift out like you see them do at some of the racetracks. This track is narrow all the way through the field, however, and you know you'll see that as Koeman is just getting up a little bit of gravel there coming out of turn number 5. You'll see that these drivers have to really be on it all race long. We've got ourselves a nice 4-5 car battle through the midfield there. As you see a car, I'm just trying to see who that was, but a car just going into the tyre barriers there, and it looks as though that could be Kieran Mant. Yeah, Kieran Mant in the 4 car. He was running in the 14th position, but just coming out of the turn number 5, he slides the car on entry. The car then just snaps in a minute on corner exit, and that car just slides into the tyre barriers. It looks as though he's got himself quite a bit of right front damage. That car is wiggling all the way now. He'll try and perhaps bring it down to pit road early on in this race. But we had got ourselves a nice little battle in the midfield from Mikael Gustafsson in the 99 car in the 7th position, Chuck Johnson in 8th in the 87 machine, Benjamin Lanute in the 01 car also joining into that battle with Claudia Klimmer in the top 10, about 1.3 seconds behind. So out front, it is still Jan Koemans leading the way here at Summit Point Raceway. This track is, as I say, it's very narrow. That is one of the main talking points of this track. It's also very fast. One of the faster tracks that you'll see the MX-5 drivers go onto this season. Track opened in 1917. It's a 2 mile, exactly 2 mile there, about 10 corner racetrack that we'll be racing on here today. And these drivers, you know, the second sector of this racetrack, about turn number 3 all the way through to turn 8, is where these cars have got to really be on it. Some very slow technical corners as Lanute, Johnson and Gustafsson still battling hard for position. This is where you really can gain a lot of time, but overtaking can be very difficult because you haven't really got the acceleration points to, you know, try to line up alongside. So you have to make a big dive into these corners. So your best overtaking positions really are down into turn number 1. Or alternatively, if you can get a good run into turn number 5, you've got a chance then of going side by side, but you're going to have to hold it all the way through 6, 7, and 8. As if you make the move into 5 and don't complete it, you're going to be on the outside all the way through 6 and 7. So you see that Gustafsson is still leading that pack, 3-car pack of the 99, 87, and 01 cars respectively. Claudia Klimmer has kind of dropped off that pack for the time being, but you know, we see it so often in this series that guys can come back into the picture after about 4 or 5 laps or so, and if Gustafsson starts building up this pack, as I say that, Chuck Johnson there is making a move on the right-hand side. This is down into turn number 3. Johnson's going to complete the pass there, and at the same time, I take that back, Gustafsson touches the 01 car, Benjamin Lanute. He goes around. They're running too wide into the corner. It looks as though Lanute just came down a little bit too much onto him. Lanute was on the right-hand side, just tried coming across a little bit too far, and he is the one who gets spun around there, and the 01 car is all the way down the field now. It looks as though he's not got too much damage to that race car, but a bruised and battered ego for him, as he's got ahead of him here at Kanya, just completely overshooting the racetrack. And it's so difficult if you go on track there. You've got to get back on and not just cut across the grass, otherwise you'll get yourself a 15-second stop and go penalty. Checking in on the battle for 5th and 6th positions on the racetrack, Nico Brandt and Douglas Beard are battling for position. I can confirm behind them it is now Chuck Johnson up into the 7th position, Mikael Gustafsson down into 8th, but Benjamin Lanute has fallen right down the field. And Lanute, in fact, has got a car coming to pit road. That is Kieran Mant making his first pit stop of the day. But it looks as though, really, that Lanute is falling down almost into the 20-something position. A huge disappointment for him. You're going to get confirmation of that as they come past the start-finish line. And Lanute really has fallen down. He's already down into the 16th position. So that is a huge disappointment for him. Brandt and Beard, however, they are separated by less than half a second on the racetrack. Douglas Beard has been right there on the rear of Nico Brandt ever since this race got underway. And Brandt in the 42 machine having a better race here today. We've seen him have some difficult races in the past couple of events. But Brandt looking as though he's got his car, his 42 machine under control here today, and nicely hopping over the curbs as they come through turns number 8 and 9. And this is going to be a battle to look out for with Nico Brandt, you know, a driver who's very good at responding under pressure, but losing a lot of time to Druskus Turkisk in the 08 car ahead of him. Nico Brandt's last lap was a 1 minute 24.184, Turkisk a 1 minute 23.745. In fact, Turkisk at the moment is doing some pretty good lap times, but he's about 3 tenths of a second slower than Halunen out front. In turn, a further 2 tenths of a second. Further 2 tenths of a second slower than Ratto, who has caught up to the rear of Jan Koemans, and they almost came together there into turn number 1. And Ratto was so close from running into the rear of the 55 machine. They were side by side, almost going into the corner. Ratto had such a great entry, and Koemans had to go defensive there. Just checked up a little bit, couldn't get on the power when he needed to. Good defensive driving there by him, but Ratto is really hounding him now. And again, he runs off track almost there In the 8 car, Cummins is driving very slowly at the moment. I have no idea why, but Ratto is really trying to hound on the pressure, and it's just not happening for him. And Ratto is struggling right now just to get alongside him. He's going to have a good chance as they come out of turn number 9 once again. He's got turn number 10 to try and set themselves up, but Ratto right now is on an absolute charge, and we'll see whether this develops into something as they come out of turn number 10. But I tell you what, this time Ratto's not quite close enough, and you see, as there's a car spinning down on the start-finish line, I have no idea who that was, but that is Kieran Mant, and I'm trying to figure out what happened. He was just running down on the start-finish line. He gets himself onto the grass, doesn't realise the end, and the car just slides out of his control. It spears to the left, and he doesn't hit anything, but that was just right in front of the leaders there, and he is going to be out of the race. Cummins is still your race leader. The gap is up to 8 tenths of a second now over Ratto. But Ratto's still putting on the pressure. Cummins making some sloppy mistakes here and there. And Ratto's going to have to be very, very careful that he doesn't make a big mistake. Or he doesn't drop back too much, because he needs to preserve his tyres. And if Cummins, can withstand this pressure for the next 4 or 5 laps or so, then it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Ratto's tyres will start to burn out. But he's very close this time as they come out of turn number 7, working away through that left-hand flick now to the right for turn number 9. And Ratto's got a very good run this time. He's going to have to be careful, though, not to run into the back, not to outbrake himself into turn number 10. Cummins is always going to have the line, and Cummins going to get on the brakes earlier, and he's also going to get onto the power earlier. But this time, Ratto's got himself a good run. Cummins all the way into the gravel. This is going to allow Ratto the chance they come down the start-finish line to think about making a move, but as they're in the slipstream, he's not gaining much. He's going to possibly line up alongside him. Now you see Cummins on the right-hand side of the racetrack, making Ratto go the long way around. It's never going to happen here. Whoever has the inside line is always going to get the corner, and Cummins lives to fight yet another day. But Ratto is so close as they're working around now turn number 3, and Ratto is going to have to be very careful. He's looking down to the inside once again, one of the fastest portions of the racetrack. This is where you saw Gustafsson being overtaken earlier, and this is where you saw Lanute just losing the car as he got a little bit too close and touched the right-hand side of Gustafsson's machine. Looks like Gustafsson is able to carry on with this race. Didn't sustain too much damage, and I'm having a look to see what happened to Lanute. I believe he actually took the opportunity to make a pit stop in all of that. So, Benjamin Lanute there, in fact, to take that back, he just had a very slow lap on lap number 7. He's fallen right down the order, and I'm still trying to figure out what happened to him. In fact, no, he did make his pit stop, and I take that back, because the pit stop is before the start-finish line here, and Lanute has made his pit stop, so he's now going to try and see whether he can work strategy the other way around. But Ratto's dropped back a little bit here in turn number 10. He's not got the drive he had that previous lap, but Cummins just uses so much gravel on the exit of the corner that he can't really put the power down as much as he should do. This will allow Ratto to once again get a good run down the start-finish line. We're working on lap number 10 out of 29 now, so we're pretty much at 1/3 distance, and we've seen just how good Ratto will be in the pit stop, so it's going to be interesting to see whether he can get past here on the racetrack. He's got himself a nice drive there out of turn number 2, because of the fact he didn't have to stay right behind Cummins, and this will nicely set him up for the rest of the lap, but it won't really have the opportunity to make a pass now, because the rest of this lap, it's so tight, you're going to have to really commit to an overtaking manoeuvre, and we know how, cautious Ratto is in those circumstances. Looking a little bit back further through the field, and it looks as though Douglas Beard has got himself past Nico Brandt now. So Douglas Beard has managed to pass the 42 machine of Nico Brandt. Brandt looking on the attack though. Now he's behind Beard. This is the battle for the 5th position on the racetrack. And the 42 car, I'm just trying to figure out where he lost that position. But it was lap number 9 outside of our shop whilst this battle for the race lead was going on. And it looks as though that Brandt just lost it down into the final corner by the look of it. We'll try and get confirmation of that. But it was actually, sorry, I take that back, down into turn number 3. A big move there by Douglas Beard. And Brandt got past, but now he's trying to hound the rear of the 63 car as they're working their way through turn number 10 once again. Further back through the field, David Schaefer and Jonathan Keir having a battle for 13th 14th, 15th positions on the racetrack. It's all going on here. Jonathan Keir has just lost position there to Christian Cabrera in the number 11 car, so move the 11 car up into the 14th position. Keir down into 15th. Istvan Balau, who's got a bent up race car, his number 22 machine, started this race in the 15th spot, currently running in 12th. But Balau is trying to put the pressure on, but he's looking like he's having a difficult day here in this race. Claudia Klimmer has caught up to the rear now of Mikael Gustafsson in a battle, for the 8th and 9th spots on the racetrack. Gustafsson has had a couple of very slow laps. Claudia Klimmer's last time by 1 minute 24.5, compare that to 1 minute 24.7 for Mikael Gustafsson in the 99 machine, and Claudia Klimmer is looking very racy here in the middle stages of this race. Jan Koemans is still your race leader, however. Joachim Rato still sat in the 2nd position. Tuomas Halunen in the 3rd spot. Akaduskis Katurskis in the 4th position, with Douglas Beard running out your top 5. Nico Brandt is in the 6th position now, falling back to about a second behind Douglas Beard. Chuck Johnson in 7th, Gustafsson in 8th, Claudia Klimmer in 9th, we just talked about him. And then Jeremy Naylor is running out your top 10. We're about to approach pit stops in about 5 or 6 laps time. We'll be back in just a couple of seconds. Currently working on lap number 12 here in the Blondie's MX5 World Tour event on Glacier TV. Aerial coverage provided by Blondie's Bar in Long Beach, California. If you're in Long Beach, why not pop down to Blondie's Bar? And you can see that the middle section of the racetrack is the tightest, most difficult part. And you notice if a car goes off down into one of these tight corners, especially turn number 5, they pretty much go straight on, end up at the end of turn number 8. So almost got to turn their car around, get back onto the racetrack, or risk taking a 20-second penalty. This track, you know, we talk about how tight and narrow it is. They really built a lot into a very small portion of racetrack, and it's 1.8 miles on the racetrack, 1.98, sorry. As Jan Koemans goes wide there, very wide in turn number 3. This is allowing Rato to get side by side of him. He's not going to have the right line though into the next corner. It's going to be Koemans. He's just hopping the curb down, just managing to perhaps keep clear as they come down into turn number 5. Rato though is going to have now the line, but once again Koemans is going to luck out because he's going to have the outside line into turn number 6. They touch a little bit there. Rato has to fall down into the 2nd position. While this is going on, Tuomas Halunen has caught up to the fray, and it's now a three-way fight for the race lead. Rato almost had the chance to take it away from Koemans. Koemans lucked out that when he went off, he had the right line into the complex. Rato looking so racy now, perhaps him and Halunen might try and work it together. If one of these drivers pulls out, they're going to have the chance. You see now Rato immediately looking to the left-hand side. Which way is Halunen going to go in the 23 car? He's just running right down the middle there. He's hoping almost at least he's to take himself out of contention. He can take victory. But coming down to turn 1, it is going to be Rato. If he manages to brake late enough, he will get the position. He's not going to be able to brake late enough now. Koemans is going to have the line coming out of turn number 2. And it's going to be almost free wide. It is almost free wide there. And now Halunen pushing Rato a little bit down. This short back straightaway into turn number 3. And Halunen trying to look down to the inside of Koemans. And he's going to take 2nd position away. Jan Koemans, your race leader, move him down from 1st position, perhaps down into 3rd. He's on the attack though, coming into turn number 4. And Koemans will actually just manage to salvage 2nd place. And that was a repeat of what we saw last time by the 8, the 55 and the 23. We'll try and get ourselves a replay of that but Koemans was very, very lucky there not to run off track for the second lap in the row, put that car in the wall. He salvaged his second position, but we just saw how racy Halunen can be. And now Ratto's out front there. He wants to get past Koemans now. Otherwise, he tries to go, and to say that, Koemans going down into pit road. So Koemans is the first to commit. And that 55 car, realising that his tyres are toast, comes down onto pit road to make his first pit stop of the day. And he's now trying to get himself perhaps some fresh tyres. We'll keep an eye out, see whether he does. He overshoots his pit box, and he is taking fuel only by the look of it. So just trying to cool those tyres down. Fuel only, though, for the 55 car. Ratto out front of a 1.2 second gap now over Thomas Halunen in the 23 car. And Koeman actually selected reverse gear, forgot to put it back into neutral, so he lost another second coming out of pit road there. It's been a horrible pit stop for the 55 car of Jan Koemans coming back out onto the racetrack. He's got himself Jim A. Bollen, who's going to look down to the inside. Oh, Koemans almost turns into him. He decided, okay, I'll give you a racing line. Didn't realise he was coming that quickly. Koemans almost collected there the 05 car, so of Jim A. Bollen. Koemans currently down in the 11th position and now in traffic. This is going to allow Ratto and Halunen to really gain a little bit and keep an eye out on the 08 car of Toastis as well, as he could come into the picture, as Koemans is now going to have to make a big move early to try and get around some of these climbers, and he's lost himself about a second already in this lap. We'll keep an eye out on the lap time, but Koemans has actually touched him there. Koemans just touches Bolland, as I believe Bolland was trying to get out of the way there in the 05 car, and whilst that was all going on, Koemans thought, okay, I have to go the long way around you, just runs into the rear of Bolland there. He's now got a bent up rear deck lid, and Bolland's race has just been taken apart there by the 55 car. So we'll keep an eye out now to see whether there's going to be any penalties there for Koeman, but he's got a damaged front nose right now, and that could hurt his progress in this race. This track does rely on a lot of turn on these cars, and even though there's not many aerodynamic parts on this car, you still have to make use of what you've got. And for Koemans, it's really going to affect the handling of his race car now. It is, however, out front. Hermi Ratto leading the way. The gap between himself and Druskis Turskis is 6.9 seconds, as I believe Halunen's actually come down onto pit road to make his pit stop. So, yeah, he has done so. For the 23 car is into pit road. We'll see where he is in relation to Koemans, and I believe, actually, Halunen has managed to leapfrog Koemans in the space of one lap. Halunen has managed to get himself up into a position 3 cars actually ahead of Jan Koemans. So Koemans' race has gone from bad to worse here. The 55 car now trying to get himself around Jeremy Naylor as they come down into turn number 5-6. You see Naylor holding his line nicely there. Koemans is going to have to go around the long way round if he's going to get the job done, but he doesn't seem to have the straight line speed coming out the corners. Of course, the car ahead is always going to be on the gas early. That's going to give him a bit of an advantage, but Koemans now is going to hope that this car peels off down towards pit road this time by, and he doesn't. He stays out. Guilherme Ratto is still out on the racetrack. Akadusis Turskis is also still out on the racetrack. So while this is all going on, Koemans is just losing heaps of time. Will get his lap as he comes past the line, and it is going to be a 1 minute 24.272. That's a full second slower than he was earlier on in this race. You see he's looking down to the inside now as they come down to turn number 1. He's going to hit him! Koemans' day goes from bad to worse. He pushes his second car off the racetrack in the space of 3 laps. Koemans trying to drive a bit too aggressively there, forces Jeremy Naylor off the racetrack. Naylor there slowing down, trying to get back onto the racetrack there, just slows Istvan Balau down, almost collecting Balau. And the process of that, I think Balau might actually lost himself 2 positions as he came down into turn number 1. The 22 car of Istvan Balau saw the spinning car ahead of him, saw the car literally coming right into his path, had to slow right down, and in the process allowed Andre Hegem in the 88 car and Jim Bolland past him. So Koemans has caused a lot of damage here on the racetrack and ruined about 4 people's races directly and indirectly. But the 55 car still circulating. currently sat in, I believe, the 9th position, and he's got Christopher Thompson, who's going to have to work around, who's currently scored 1 lap down, about 5 seconds ahead. Guilherme Ratto, while all of this going on, still circulating on the racetrack, hasn't committed down towards pit road yet. So the 8 car has now got himself a 14-second gap over Douglas Beard, as Turskisk has made his first pit stop, his only pit stop of the race. He's back out onto the racetrack and is just behind Nico Brandt. So Turskisk has actually had a really good pit stop to fall back in where he was. Nico Brandt ahead of him hasn't yet pitted. Douglas Beard hasn't yet pitted, and Lau Zhao hasn't pitted also. So right now, Turskisk is actually in the driving seat to perhaps take at least second position away. As having a look back to see where Halunin was, Turskisk, in my mind, is actually ahead by 2 cars, so it's all swept itself around in the pit stop. By staying out a couple of laps longer, Turskisk has avoided the traffic that Halunin stuck him, but he is stuck behind the 87 machine of Chuck Johnson, and able to find a way past. Halunin's lap times have had a very slow outlap, and he's still trying to find his way around, and because it's taking so difficult here, if you're the last person to come and you've got no traffic around you, chances are you're going to win the race. So run through your top 10 drivers, and we are, of course, in the middle of a sequence of pit stops. Guilherme Ratto is still your race leader. He has not pitted. He has a 14-second gap over Douglas Beard, who is not pitted. Nico Brandt in the 3rd position has not pitted. Turskisk in the 08 car has made his pit stop. He's the first of the drivers to have done so. He is sat in the 4th position. Chuck Johnson in 5th in the 87 car. He has, in my mind, not made a pit stop. Correct, he has not made a pit stop. Now just been passed by Halunin, so move Halunin up into the 5th spot. And Chuck Johnson down into 6th. Claudia Klimmer is in the 7th position. Michael Gustafsson in 8th. Jan Kubin in 9th. And Iswan Bala rounding out your top 10. But the interesting point to note is that Turskisk is only about 18 seconds behind the race leader. Guilherme Ratto is going to be rather close actually once they come out of pit road, and Ratto taking a bit of time there to get around of the 07 machine of Jonathan Kerr. Will Ratto commit to pit road this time? No, he doesn't. Kerr behind him there is in the 18th position, and he's now scored 1 lap down. And just see there that Douglas Beard has now come into pit road there in the 63 car. So he's made his commitment onto pit road for his one and only pit stop. We'll see where he feeds back into this race. But it looks as though Ratto, I need to check to see whether Ratto's made his pit stop. He hasn't. And that gap, as I say, it's only 17 seconds to Turskisk. And Turskisk, having a look at his in-lap and out-lap, I take that back. Turskisk did make a pit stop. He only lost about 10 seconds, though. So I thought he had an incident on the racetrack, which is forcing us to believe that he had an incident on track. I'm having a look through, and oh, so he did. He spun the car. So he hasn't made his pit stop. I take that back completely. He just lost himself a lot of time there by spinning that car around, coming out of turn number 7. It was coming up on our screens that he had made a pit stop. He has indeed not made a stop. So he is 17 seconds behind the race leader on pure pace. Nico Brandt also hasn't made a pit stop and is now running in the 2nd position for the time being. We'll see whether or not Brandt commits down to pit road this time. He doesn't. Ratto does, however, commit down to pit road. And the 8 car making his one and only pit stop in this race. We need to keep an eye out to see where he comes out in relation to Tuomas Halunen. We expect Halunen to be behind after this. He's coming out of the final corner now. Ratto just topping up with fuel. He needs to get out onto the racetrack. He now does get onto the racetrack. Halunen, however, is going to breeze past. So the 23 car somehow manages to make it happen. And he is your new race leader. Guilherme Ratto comes out in what will essentially be a net 2nd position, as Turskisk also down into pit road as well. We need to again check to see whether or not Halunen has made a pit stop. He definitely did, because we saw it on our screens. He came in at the completion of lap number 14 by the looks of it, so the end of lap number 15. So Halunen's definitely made his pit stop, so we don't need to worry about that. He's got himself a huge lead over Guilherme Ratto, and where that came from, I do not know. but his lap times have just been consistent. Ratto, in the meantime, I have no understanding of how he's managed to get ahead. Ratto, however, will have fresher tyres for this second part of the race because Halunen did come in a lot earlier. So Halunen perhaps gambling a little bit on fuel, hoping he could make it a little bit lighter on his car. But for now, the Club Finland driver has got it all going his own way. And I take that back. So Nico Brandt, he did overtake Halunen there, but he's now come down into pit road himself. So Nico Brandt did lead a lap. He's now onto pit road, and he's going to make his pit stop, his one and only pit stop on the race late on. We're past 2/3 race distance now, but the gap between Halunen in the 23 car and Guilherme Ratto, we'll get a confirmation of that as they come past the line. It looks as though it's about 4.5 seconds. So Ratto's got it all to do now on the last stages of this race. We've got ourselves less than 10 laps to go. We are watching here the Blondie's MX-5 World Tour from Summit Point International Raceway, live on Glacier TV. The Blondie's MX-5 World Tour, of course, brought to you by Blondie's Bar in Long Beach, California. For more information, go to blondieslbc.com. Nico Brandt back out onto the racetrack. We see where he feeds in. We believe it is just around. He's ahead of Adriskis Turskis by about, we believe, about 4 seconds on the racetrack. But he's 6 seconds now back from Douglas Beard. And we're getting word in our ear that Guilherme Ratto might have actually taken tyres on his pit stop. We're trying to figure out what happened there, but we'll have a look at the pit times themselves. Thomas Halunen's pit in time, his in-lap is a 1 minute 45.679. Guilherme Ratto's pit in-lap was a 1 minute 53.286. So Ratto must have taken tyres because he was in that pit box for a lot longer. Either that or he's bed coming down towards pit road. We'll keep an eye out on that, but it looks as though really Ratto threw his own race away there as he's just going past Lido Pinto in the 84 car coming back out onto the racetrack. But Halunen now with 7 laps left to go, he's got himself a nice lead over Guilherme Ratto there. The gap as they came past the line this time is down to 3.36 seconds. So Halunen has got himself getting move on because he caught himself a good bunch of time that last lap. Ratto did a 1 minute 23.393, compare that to Halunen's 1 minute 24.6. So Halunen's suffering a little bit late on in this race, but Ratto's got himself some fresh rubber. He now needs to push like there's no tomorrow. Ratto has got himself less than 3.5 seconds to catch over Thomas Halunen, and he's catching a little bit more. He can actually now see the rear of Halunen just in about, I don't know, 15 car lengths ahead as it will kind of accelerate out of the corner. Halunen will make that look a little bit longer, but Ratto really is closing that gap now. The case is going to be, though, can he close quickly enough to set himself up for a late pass here? So we'll get confirmation of how close it's going to be as they come past the start-finish line once again. It is Thomas Halunen still leading the way in the 23 car. The gap is now down to 2.5 seconds. So that last time by, Ratto took out 7/10 of a second almost over Thomas Halunen in the 23 car. Still gaining, but of course he's got to get into that dirty air phase. Jan Koemans in 3rd, Douglas Beard in 4th, Nico Brandt in 5th. Akaduskis Turskis, I have to apologise for messing up that name every single time I say it. In the 08 car is in 6th, Chuck Johnson in 7th, Mikael Gustafsson in 8th, Claudia Klima in 9th, Benjamin Lanute is running out your top 10. In the series of pit stops, I have to say, Halunen, of course, is a big winner, but Nico Brandt gained himself a couple of positions up there as well, so he will be happy with his performance in the race here today. He's back where he started in the 5th position, but of course he had that being passed by Douglas Beard earlier on in this race. Brandt made up a little bit of time, Douglas Beard in 4th, having himself a good race as well. Jan Koemans, though, is still struggling in that 55 car, and having a look to see what could happen, but he's kind of keeping Douglas Beard at check for the time being. But Douglas Beard, I think he's ready to pounce if Koemans makes a mistake. We've seen him make a couple in this race here today, and as they work way around traffic, we've seen the key feature of this race is passing can be so damn difficult. The gap as they come past the line is now down to 1.1 seconds. Ratto is determined to get back into the fight for the race lead. They're coming down into turn number 1 with 5 laps left to go. And Ratto is really pushing for all it is worth now as they're working it down into turn number 3. And we're just going to go on board Guilherme Ratto for the moment as they go through a sequence of corners. Ratto in the 8 car, looking down into turn number 4 now, and then this complex. This is where it gets really, really tight and technical. They see Ratto is right up the rear. You can see it on the onboard shot, just how close it is. One of the things you do need to pay attention to is, though, of course, unlike some of the other cars that you see about, these cars have to judge the distance between their front and the cars rear ahead of them, and you just cannot tell how close it is. So you do see the occasional bumping as they come into the corners when they're this close. Ratto has got a great drive out of the final corner. Can he try and use a draft? No, he's not going to be able to, because Alunan himself has got a draft from a slower car ahead. That is Gareth Prentice in the 30 car, who just helps Alunan for this one solitary lap. Is going to be close coming down into turn number 1. And you see there Prentice getting right out of the way. Ratto's going to bleed in as well. Ratto gets a good run out of the corner because Alunan goes wide. This is going to allow Ratto to try and take the race lead coming out of turn number 2. And Ratto, it's just going to be clear now. He takes back the race lead. And Ratto, from being 5 seconds down almost, retakes the first spot. Those tyres might have hurt him for a while on pit road, but now he's back out onto the racetrack. He's absolutely flying, and that last time by, he set a 1 minute 23.138. You compare that to Halunan's 1 minute 23.9. The writing was on a wall. Halunan's been struggling, and that's the end picture. Ratto is back into the race lead. Looking a little bit further down, the battle for 7th and 8th position has been going backwards and forwards a little bit. This is between Chuck Johnson in the 87 car and Mikael Gustafsson in the 99 machine. They are battling for 7th and 8th positions on the racetrack. It's just kind of a 2-horse race now. We saw Claudia Klimmer earlier on was able to get up right to the rear of Mikael Gustafsson in the 99 car, but hasn't been able to do much of it since. And now Gustafsson meaning to focus his attention simply on the 87 car of Chuck Johnson as they're working their way through the complex once again. And Johnson looking as though he's having himself a solid race in the 87 car. This 7th position will really do him some good. And Gustafsson doesn't look as though he can get close enough when he needs to. And that's coming through this turn number 9. Now down this final corner into turn 10. I mean, he's about 5 cars back now. And we'll keep an eye out to see whether we can do anything down out of turn number 10. Not going to be quite close enough, however, unless Johnson messes this up. He gets a little bit sideways into the corner, but Gustafsson's still about 4 car lengths behind, and he's not going to be anywhere near close enough down this front straightaway. Further back still, Jim Bolland and Esteban Balau having a good battle on the racetrack. And I tell you what, though, Balau going very slowly on the grass, having to let cars swarm past him there. As he goes off track, he loses himself a position to David Schaefer, Jim Bolland, and Jeremy Naylor, all in the sequence of one corner. Balau is, he must have been involved in an incident there, because that car is pointing in the wrong direction. He's struggling to bring it down towards pit road. If you have a look on this onboard, he's pointing that wheel down about 45 degrees to the right-hand side, just trying to make it home. He's putting it down into pit road. He's hardly able to turn that car to the right. So Esteban Balau having another difficult race here in the 22 car, trying to get confirmation of what happened to him. But he's struggled all lap long. And sorry, it was down into turn number 3. Esteban Balau running too wide, into the corner, overshoots, hits the wall, comes back onto the racetrack, tries slowing it down, nothing he can do there. And then collects Jim Bolland in the 05 car. Let's say Balau goes off track. He takes the corner with a bit too much grass, hits the wall, comes back onto the racetrack, and just spears into the path of Bolland. Bolland didn't know he was coming until he got hit. And then Balau just ends up having to drive the car really slowly down towards pit road, losing himself a ton of positions. He's now scored 1 lap down. Guilherme Ratto, however, he's got himself a lap and a half left to go here in this race. and Ratto has really been dominant now. And I tell you what, Halunen looks as though he had to make himself a second pit stop. We'll get a confirmation of this, but it looks as though Halunen made himself a second pit stop. We talked about whether or not he was close to fuel. He was close to fuel, wasn't able to, get another lap out of it, and he has dropped right down the standings now, and Halunen is down into the 4th position, we believe, with Nico Brandt. Yes, he is down into 4th, so from 2nd, Halunen loses 2 positions late on in this race, and Guilherme Ratto's now got himself a 12-second lead over Jan Koeman as Guilherme Ratto takes the white flag. There's one more lap to go in this race, and Ratto has just been dominant. He made that mistake on pit road. He struggled to get past Jan Koeman at the start of this race, but he always looked as though he was going to be a race-winning contender here. And despite him taking tyres, he was able to charge fast and hard, find his way past Thomas Halunen when Halunen made a mistake. And now, once it all shaped up, he would have had the race in the bag anyway. He's now got himself a 13-second gap over Jan Koeman, working his way into the complex once again. Guilherme Ratto really has been the force of the field here today. Jan Koeman's in the second position is just going to be safe there of Douglas Beard. There's a 2-second gap between them. Douglas Beard can see the rear of Jan Koeman's car, but nowhere near close enough to make a move, unless Koeman makes a big mistake in these final couple of corners. But Guilherme Ratto out of the complex for the final time, weaving it now through turn number 9. He's got himself one corner left to go to take victory here in the Blondie's MX-5 World Tour from Summit Point Motorsports Park. And Ratto now coming into the final corner. He can almost shut the ignition off now and coast it home. Guilherme Ratto onto the front straight away. The pit road ends before the start-finish line, but now Ratto is going to win here at Summit Point. And a dominant performance that. Jan Koeman coming now out of the final corner is going to claim second position. Douglas Beard tried his best. He is not going to be close enough, however, to take away that second spot. It's going to be Koeman second, Beard in third. Halunen, after running in second for the middle portion of that race, will have to contend with 4th position. Nico Brandt rounding out your top 5 with Turskis in the 08 car in 6th. We believe that Turskis was just a bit slow there on that final run. Johnson in 7th, Gustafsson in 8th, Claudia Klima in 9th, and Jonathan Kier in the top 10. We're going to get confirmation of these results in just a matter of moments. In the meantime, you see the cars there just coming past the start-finish line. Loads of race on the lead lap. 14 cars completed this race on the lead lap. So a couple of cars now coming past the start-finish line. Jonathan Kier is going to be the driver looking to round out your top 10. Sorry, Jim Bolland there, still on pit road. And Lau Gel there, down in the final corner. I don't know what happened there, but he just took off. The car just got onto the gravel, and the car just spun on him, and he just ended up smacking that car, rolling it over into the tree, into the hoarding. We'll get ourselves a replay of that after, because that is by far the most bizarre incident of the day. But with all these cars now coming out of the final lap, yep, we can now run through your final race results here for the Blondie's MX-5 World Tour event from Summit Point Motorsport Park. It is Guilherme Ratto taking race victory, a gap of 13.6 seconds over Jan Koeman in second. Douglas Beard a further 2 seconds back in third. Thomas Halunen in the 23 car in fourth. Brandt in fifth. Turskis in the 6th position, Chuck Johnson in 8th, Gustafsson in 9th, Chuck Johnson in 7th, Gustafsson in 8th, Claudia Klima in 9th, Jonathan Kier running out your top 10, Benjamin Lanute in 11th, Jamie Naylor in 12th, David Schaefer in 13th, Giuseppe Arrow in 14th, the last of the drivers on the lead lap. And then it is Gareth Prentice in 15th, Christian Careba in the 16th position, Harry Kanya in 17th, Lida Pinto in 18th, Christopher Thompson in 19th, Andre Hagem in 20th. Rest of the drivers coming up on your screen momentarily. And at this time, we would like to welcome into the booth our second place driver, Mr. Jan Koeman. Jan, it looked as though that you were good at the start, and then a little bit later on, it kind of fell away from you a little bit.
Yeah, definitely the worst race of the season for me. Basically everything that could go wrong for me could go wrong. I didn't do any long runs, and I just destroyed my tires completely. And then when I couldn't hold off Guillermo and the other driver anymore, somebody was at the door, so I had to open the door during the pit stops and yeah, race to forget from there.
Yeah, and it did seem as though you came out into traffic, then you had difficulties getting around traffic. Just a tough second part of the race, but managing to salvage second, I'm guessing, is the best you could have hoped for.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure why I inherited second at the end there. I thought I was going to be third. I was struggling very hard to keep Douglas at a distance behind me because of the contact with a few people. I damaged my car and I was losing a lot of time on the straight line. So yeah, second is a very good place. I have to apologize to a few people, but I'm not sure who I hit exactly, so I'll look into it later.
Yeah, I can't remember even, to be fair. But, I mean, it was Thomas Alunen, by the way, who came on pit road pretty much 2 laps on the end. He ran out of fuel, we believe, in the 23 car, so that's how you inherited second position. But, I mean, it's been a tough race, but Summit Point is always a difficult racetrack. And you talk about tyre wear, that middle sector of the racetrack itself, you've got to be very careful, but you almost just want to push that car. And I mean, how was it better on the second run, or was it? I don't believe you actually took tyres there, did you?
No, the races are too short take tires, so I don't think anybody takes tires on these races. So yeah, it was a struggle really. A lot of understeer in the middle section. It was my own fault. I just pushed too hard at the beginning. But yeah, congratulations to Guillermo. He was very fast today, faster than me, I think. So yeah.
Would I upset you if I told you that he did take tyres?
Who took tires?
We think Ratto might have taken tyres. He's about 8 seconds slower in pit road than anyone else.
Okay, might be. I'm not sure. I mean, I wasn't watching the race, obviously. I also overshot my pit box, so that didn't help me either.
Yeah, but we'll see you next week. I mean, still a second place finish. You know, it's a good finish, but you're looking to try and take victory next week.
Absolutely.
Well, we will see you next week. And word from our cameraman, we would like to apologise about a couple of problems in this broadcast. We do apologise for it, and we'll fix it for the next event. However, you have been watching the Blondie's MX-5 World Tour from Summit Point Motorsports Park. Guillermo Ratto did take victory by 13.7 seconds over Jan Koemans. Douglas Beard in third, Thomas Alunen in fourth, and Nico Brandt rounding out your top 5. Once again, we do apologise for the technical difficulties in A, getting on air early, and B, throughout the race. We will fix it for the next event. Meanwhile, for myself and Yana Metakayan, it is time to say goodnight. So good night.